Hey, welcome to Three Count Commentaries. This is your host, the magnificent Mongo Slade, and we're going to run through an analysis of the 2021 Women's Royal Rumble. So, we're not going to talk. I'm not going to go through every nook and cranny and talk about every single person who's ever been in the match or who's going to be in the match and what are the surprises and all that stuff. I'm not going to do that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to look at some of the people that I think are the favorites and some of the people who I think are the long shots. And it's going to be very difficult because obviously I think one particular person has become the favorite. But I do think there's another one that's coming up in the blind side that a lot of people aren't paying attention to. So let's get into that. Who are the favorites? You know, the likely favorites to win the Women's Royal Rumble 2021. Number one is Bianca Belair. Everybody seems to think that Bianca Belair is just a shoe-in for the Women's Royal Rumble. I tend to agree. This is one of the few times where I completely agree with the internet. It'll be almost a tragedy if Bianca Belair does not win the Royal Rumble, but there is someone who could win where only a fraction of the audience would complain. And number two is Rhea Ripley. If Rhea Ripley won the Royal Rumble, you got a large number of people that would be super excited because Rhea Ripley was kind of, I wouldn't say screwed, but she's kind of jerked around in 2020. She was the NXT champion. She wrestled against Charlotte at WrestleMania and lost. You always have that to go back to. Bianca Belair and Sasha Banks, that match is a match that everybody kind of wants. It's something that people are looking forward to. But I think people also kind of want Rhea Ripley to get revenge on Charlotte. So that would, of course, mean Charlotte would have to win the women's title, the Raw women's title, which is personally, it's Asuka. Asuka loses belts to Charlotte. I mean, come on. It's not like it hadn't happened before. So you can possibly, of course, you could do both of these things, right? You could have Bianca Belair maybe win the Elimination Chamber and have her wrestle Sasha Banks at WrestleMania for the SmackDown title, and have Rhea Ripley win the Royal Rumble, jump from NXT to Raw, and then wrestle Charlotte or Asuka for the Raw Women's title. I think that would be great. I don't think that many people would be upset if Bianca Belair lost the Royal Rumble but won the Elimination Chamber. Of course, you have to get to that point. You have to deal with the internet burning itself and setting itself on fire because Bianca Belair lost. And people being, you're a racist, and all that shit, right? But for storytelling purposes, Rhea Ripley is actually a better choice, because especially if you're going to, depending on what they're going to do with the women's title. If they're going to move the title from Asuka to Charlotte, Rhea Ripley is a shoe-in. Now, could you have Rhea Ripley win the Elimination Chamber? Well, you have to justify Rhea Ripley being on Raw, or SmackDown. I definitely think she should be on Raw. And I definitely think her days in NXT are over. So Rhea Ripley and Bianca Belair are my first two, and I think they're the most obvious two that could possibly win the Royal Rumble and keep people happy. The third most likely choice of winning the Royal Rumble would not make people happy at all because it's Charlotte. So it's entirely possible that we don't do Asuka versus Charlotte at any point up to this Royal Rumble match. Charlotte is in the Royal Rumble, and Charlotte wins. And then we have maybe Charlotte, Asuka for the title at WrestleMania. That would be the shits. I'm sorry. I love Asuka. I love Charlotte. But that would be the shits. That would be terrible. Okay? And then what's even worse is the idea of Charlotte and Sasha. That's even worse. So I really hope Charlotte doesn't win. I would legit be angry if Charlotte won. And I love Charlotte. I love her more than most people. But Jesus Christ, that would piss me off. Number 4 of the most likely to win the Royal Rumble will be Bayley. Now, the reason why Bayley is on the list is because there's a lot of talk, a lot of jabbering over the last several months that Bayley and Sasha Banks should wrestle at WrestleMania. And of course, they would not, between the two of them, they wouldn't turn down the idea of working with each other at WrestleMania. Problem is, they just did that feud, and then I also don't think they want to move Bayley to Raw. So while it may make sense to move Bayley to Raw to wrestle Asuka, she's also wrestled Asuka over the summer. So Bayley has exhausted pretty much all of the options here. If Charlotte was to win the title, she's wrestled Charlotte 100 times. She's wrestled Asuka 100 times, especially recently, and she's wrestled Sasha Banks numerous times recently. So Bayley wouldn't be a wholesome, fan-friendly pick. A lot of people wouldn't complain that much, but I think there would be some grumbling if Bayley won, because there would be like people saying to themselves like, "Why on earth would Bayley win?" But I don't think people would be that upset. The last choice for my front runner to win the Women's Royal Rumble is Alexa Bliss. So Alexa Bliss is a character at this point where she doesn't really need to win the Royal Rumble. She just pinned Asuka on Raw, so that could tell you that could link the two stories together, where you have Bliss who's already beaten Asuka, and maybe you tell that story up to WrestleMania, or you could tell the story of Bliss and Sasha Banks. But I just don't think that Alexa Bliss kind of needs to win the Royal Rumble. She is one of those characters that seems to be doing just fine without being in the ring at all, which is very strange for her to even be in the Royal Rumble. But she's in it, and she's one of the, outside of the four horsewomen and Asuka, Alexa Bliss wins a lot. So I think that she's in a good position to have a good spot. I just don't see, her winning and that being something that really kind of moves the needle. Like, I think Alexa Bliss is a big star. I do believe she is. But I don't think people, want to see her as the champion. At least not to see her win the Royal Rumble and over Bianca Belair and Charlotte over Charlotte, yes, but over Bianca Belair or Rhea Ripley or some of the other people that I have listed. So Alexa Bliss, while she is, a star and somebody that you could get away with putting over in the Royal Rumble, there would still be a lot of complaints. And I'm not sure where you go with that story, because she's not really feuding with any of the women directly. She's mostly been involved with Randy Orton. So I don't see how what we do in that realm. So those are my front runners. So then we just look at the long shots. So the women who are on the cusp of, and there's not many. Most of the women's division in WWE is absolutely treated, let's just say, uncharitably. They're usually doormats to the four horsewomen or Asuka or somebody else, right? But there are some women who have, gotten over or had some opportunities. And number one is Raquel Gonzalez. Raquel Gonzalez is the superwoman of NXT. It is likely that instead of bringing up Rhea Ripley, they decide, okay, we're just going to bring up Raquel instead. I know Raquel is in the Dusty Classic, so maybe she's not going to be in the Royal Rumble at all. She could get in there and get eliminated. I definitely think that it would tell a decent story for Rhea Ripley to toss her out of the Royal Rumble, but it would also tell an interesting story for her to throw Rhea Ripley out of the Royal Rumble. I don't think anybody would complain if Raquel Gonzalez won. I think most people would be like, who? And not really, because she's been doing very good in NXT. She's been doing great. But it's not been something that set the world on fire as far as people have been paying attention to what she's doing. So even though she's really good, and I think that she will probably fit, and she doesn't have any ongoing feuds with any champions, but she's aggressive enough and fierce enough that she could get over in that time frame between the Rumble and Mania and actually look legit. And that would be great, but I don't think it'll happen. I just don't think it'll happen. So you also have, this one's funny, Lana. Now, I know a lot of people are like, Lana, you can just forget it, and I'm on that tip too. I don't think Lana has a chance of winning. But when you look at the people who have been pushed recently, and Lana was taken off TV, and her whole thing is she wants to be the champion. What better option for her to be the champion than for her to win the Royal Rumble? That'll piss people off for sure. It'll piss people off for sure. But she has a story with Asuka. She was supposed to be the tag team champions with Asuka, then she got taken out. You could always build off of that. That would, of course, require Asuka to still be the champion at WrestleMania. You could also switch the title to Charlotte, and you have a storyline between Lana and Charlotte. Of course, at that point, you'll be dealing with the idea of Lana losing to Charlotte at WrestleMania, which is absolutely nonsense. But Lana is one of the most used people in the division, in the entire company. You know, it's only been recently where they took her off TV. So, I mean, there's a chance there. It's a very, very slim chance, but there's a chance there. There's also a chance for Lacey Evans. Lacey Evans likely, she's not high enough on the food chain to win the Royal Rumble. So I don't think that she's got a shot. But she does have this storyline with Charlotte. And if Charlotte by some hook or crook wins the title, and we're building up to a singles match between Lacey Evans and Charlotte, and Lacey Evans with Ric Flair in her corner against Charlotte at WrestleMania could be fun. You know, would they actually do that? Probably not. Probably not. But it would be a decent story. It would be fun for sure. But I just don't think they have the nerve to do it. Another person that I thought of is let's stop right here and talk about Becky Lynch. There's a lot of people who think that Becky Lynch is going to be in the Royal Rumble. She's probably not. She just had a baby. Likely not going to happen. So I don't put no thought into Becky Lynch making a magical return at the Royal Rumble. She probably won't wrestle this year at all. So she doesn't really have to. So I don't think that she's likely to make a return at any point anyway. So after Lacey Evans, you have mostly NXT women. And the likelihood of a woman from NXT winning is very slim. So Candice LeRae or Shotzi Blackheart, as featured as they are on NXT, they are not the likeliest choices to win the Royal Rumble. I actually have a surprise choice that I think could possibly win the Royal Rumble, and that's Sonya Deville. Sonya Deville popped up right just before the Royal Rumble started. She is right now an authority figure. So could it be possible that she kind of puts herself into the match, maybe as number 30 or something like that, and with little to no effort wins and goes over? I mean, it's entirely possible. Sonya Deville has no feud with any of the women on Raw or SmackDown other than Mandy Rose, but she is good enough to get it over if she were to be in that position. So I think that option is there. They haven't said that she's going to be in it. They also haven't said that she isn't going to be in it, and they're really going to be scratching and clawing to find women to put in this Royal Rumble match. Because, put credible women in the Royal Rumble. And at least Sonya Deville can cut a promo. So, we're kind of scraping the bottom of the barrel here. But most of the other women, Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax, there's just no chance. Shayna Baszler, I would love it if she won the Royal Rumble. I think she would be excellent. I do believe that, we are owed a Shayna Baszler Asuka main event level match. Shayna Baszler versus Sasha Banks could also be very good. But I just don't think it'll happen. I just don't think they see her in that role. They don't see her as being a top star that they can put in that position. So, and Nia Jax, I mean, God, you talk about the internet setting itself on fire. The internet would die if Nia Jax won the Royal Rumble. And the last person that's worth talking about is Naomi. Is Naomi going to be back for the Royal Rumble? I believe she will be. Will she win it? Likely not. I don't know what it is about Naomi. They just won't pull the trigger with her. I would like to see Naomi turn heel or something, do something heel. And, but I do think that the likelihood of her winning the Royal Rumble is nil. I think most of these women, because of the way the division is booked, the likelihood of her winning is slim to none. And same thing with, you know, a lot of the women on NXT. I just don't, and who are the best? This is the best division, and I just don't see them putting anybody over. So the same thing with the Riot Squad or Mandy Rose and Dana Brooke. It's like, yeah, you see these people all the time, but they're not people that they're going to put over in the Royal Rumble. So I think your best choices are Alexa Bliss, Bayley, Charlotte, Rhea Ripley, or Bianca Belair. Of those 5, Rhea Ripley and Bianca Belair are probably the most likely to win the Royal Rumble, just based off of star power, storyline, what you can do with them, fan reaction, you know, leaving people. It also depends on which Royal Rumble goes first, you know. But if you want to send them home happy, Bianca Belair would be a great person, and Rhea Ripley would be great. You know, I don't think you can go wrong with either one of those. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Like this video, share this video, subscribe to this channel. I thank you guys for your time and energy. Spread the good word of 3Count Commentaries by utilizing the hashtag 3Count Commentaries. And I'll talk to you guys later.
Yeah, shed light. I know what that's like.